Welcome in, guys. This is another episode of the Shenko and Spence Show, and this is a really exciting time for this podcast because on Monday night I unveiled, my Declaration of Independence, you can say, for this Giants season, and I laid out a roadmap right to San Francisco, and I knew that Matt Shenko was one of the people that viewed that video, and he took it all in. And all week he's been texting me. He cannot wait for his turn to provide a rebuttal to my statement. And today, on Thursday at 3:00 here, December 9th, I believe the day is, we are now going to provide Matt Shenko with an opportunity to fire back at my statement and have a nice, hopefully respectful dialogue. With that, I welcome Matthew Shenko to the show.
Well, I appreciate, bringing me in on this. And, I totally, I'm really excited to totally disagree with what you're saying about our football New York Giants making a super duper a Super Bowl run. But I just want to bring it clear. I want to bring you back into reality, because I honestly feel like you're just on some drugs. I think I need to be on what you're on, because honestly, you see the Giants, the way they've been playing all year long. Yeah. And basically I watched them for 100+ hours. You see the same stuff every week. Guys are out of position. Landon Collins is new to our system. I'm very not sold on him yet. Prince Amukamara is going to get beat every single week, and he's going to get beat by bigger guys like Calvin Johnson, Brandon Marshall, and anybody else who's bigger than they. And then also you have all these scrubs on defense. Guys are just flying around trying to hope something happens. Everybody's staying back and playing zone, guys like Unga and Jasper Brinkley, Craig Dahl, all these new guys coming in the system. I'm looking at the roster here, and I'm like, where's our leader? Who's going to be, who is the talent that we have on the defense to really, make a Super Bowl run? Because when we made our Super Bowl run back in 2007 and 11, we had guys like Michael Strahan, a future Hall of Famer, and Osi Umenyiora, who could easily get to the quarterback. And you had leaders like Antonio Pierce, and you got guys like great role players like Kawika Mitchell and guys like Sam Madison filling those roles to perfection. But, I look at the roster, guys new guys off the block, Trayvon Wade and, Jaron Hosley and, guys like that. Brandon Merriweather is, a formidable piece to the puzzle. But honestly, as they always say, defense wins championships. And honestly, you just that's what you need to, make a Super Bowl run. And, you can't also the defense, has to, mix well with the offense is doing, able to win games. And to flip is honestly, I'm looking at the defense here. It's how are you making this run? With, all these guys who are just stepping in, making plays. I don't understand. You can't just flip a switch and it's automatically they're going to make a run, just like how they did back in 2007, because they don't have any guys, good talent at these positions. Honestly, DRC is a good talent, but he's not an elite corner in the league. And then, they're going to get beat every play. A lot of these guys don't know what they're doing. But I'm going to flip the offensive side of the ball. I mean, our offensive line is in pure shambles. Marshall Newhouse is a scrub. He's been with his fourth team in his 6 years. And you got guys around talent, Justin Pugh. He really hasn't been on the field, making a difference for us. And then you have Weston Richburg. He's out for the rest of the year with that fractured leg that he has now. And then, this week, they actually implemented a new center, Dallas Reynolds. He had some false starts. He's kind of still getting Eli, good reps, because always when the center and the quarterback always need to, be on the same page. I don't really see where that offense is going right now. Eli Manning's still making the same old, interceptions in key spots. With the third quarter, you could have easily went up 23-10, could have easily been a 13-point lead, and then then it's a complete momentum shift for the Jets, and then the Jets, make this run with a journeyman like a Fitzpatrick. But if Eli still doesn't get, Eli always gets a pass from a lot of these guys. It's really upsetting because I'm so tired of, Eli, gets, credit because, he's won 2 Super Bowls. He can still do it. He can still make – like, honestly, he's not really proven his $20 million a year basically just, willy-nilly. And, the rest of the year, like, especially the way our defense is, we've been the most hurt team of all the NFL in the past, 5 years. We haven't had any guys that are really healthy to really make a difference for us, and, I don't like the other running backs that we have. Like, Williams is an average scat back, and McAdoo is underutilized, and Shane Vereen. I don't know where – I didn't see any screen passes this week. It's really sickening to see that. I really like Orange Darkwa. He's a new guy coming off the block. I really do like that as well. But to end what I was going to say earlier, it's like the rest of the division, how it's so bad. Everybody's basically 5-7, and then you have the 4-8 Dallas Cowboys. Who knows where I also said on the last show that the Redskins are the team, and and obviously that's proven me wrong because the Redskins look absolutely horrible against a crappy Dallas team. And honestly, I mean, even I'm still wearing my Giants proud, but like I'm still not seeing this run that they're going to make. I really just feel like they're going to take a step back, and I think it's going to be best going forward if we don't make the playoffs, so we actually can start making these personnel changes, because Reese in the past couple years has made horrible decisions, getting rid of guys like Antrell Roll, who was a true captain to our defense last year. We also got rid of, guys like in the past, like Osi Umenyiora, who was a good key contributor to our defense as well. And I just don't understand what possesses you to, we want to get into the playoffs because, we're always doing well, every 4 years. But me as a Giants fan, that's great and all to make that run again. But like the past couple years, Tom Coughlin's team always has gone, a mediocre 7-9, 8-8, 9-7. As a Giants fan, I'm getting really sick and tired of seeing that because there's really no like improvements at all. Like it's kind of similar to what the Sixers are doing right now. Like there's no consistency there either. But there's no consistency with the Giants either. Really, I really want to bring in more talent because. OBJ is, he's in his prime years right now, and you need to give him the talent to be able to make another title run so he can actually feel what it's like to, make what it feels like to be a Super Bowl champion and be more consistent on a daily, day-to-day basis. But, yeah, I feel that, what we have now, like defense wins championships. We have a bad defense, day in and day out. Can't just turn it on and off, and, at the end of the day, Giants need to make changes, for the better and for us moving forward as our Giants progress in the next couple of years.
I mean, I hear all those points about, our defense being inconsistent, and the New Orleans game supports your claim. The Atlanta game supports your claim. And even in Tampa Bay, like the reason they survived down there in Florida was because of some dropped passes by Doug Martin and Mike Evans. And even against Dallas, Matt Castle still had his way with the Giants secondary. So I do agree that the secondary needs a lot of work, and a lot of Giants fans, when they see Prince Amukamara and DRC, when they see them healthy, a lot of Giants fans just assume that these guys are top-flight cornerbacks without really seeing any evidence and proof. And on the defensive line, I do like what Robert Ayers has done. I thought he played his best game of the year last week versus the Jets. JPP is out there making plays, so it's great to have him back. And then you have Devin Kennard and Unga. These two guys are battlers, and they fight really hard. The point is that Eli Manning is, he's going to be like 35 years old now. And I'd say that he maybe has 3 good years left in him. Good years meaning years where he can be productive in the postseason and playoffs. And I'd say that Coach Coughlin at the most has 2 more years after this year. where he's going to be a productive head coach, because after that he's just going to be too old to continue the grind. So even if the Giants, like in a fiction world or a hypothetical world, were to go win Super Bowls, Coughlin is out of here no matter what the circumstances and within 2 years. So one thing I don't want to see, Shenko, is I don't want to see such a regime change and so much change at the top. And I don't want to see a rebuild, because with Eli Manning, these are his final years as your centerpiece of your franchise. And then in maybe 3 years, if the Giants can tank like 1 year and go get our Andrew Luck in our next, and we can bridge the gap and begin a new road and a new journey, because Ryan Nassib is not going to be the guy. He's Kerry Collins at his absolute best prototype. So I would be much more comfortable drafting a quarterback like in the first round in the next 4 to 5 years. And, I still look at this season, and the Giants, ironically, Shenko, I want you to answer this question. It's a rhetorical question, but I think it'll help for my argument, and it'll help to analyze it. And, I know that my argument is definitely flawed, because of the reasons you stated. But the year the Giants went 13-3, beat Carolina on Sunday Night Football, had Earth, Wind, and Fire, Derek Ward, Ahmad Bradshaw, and Brandon Jacobs. What was their playoff result that year? How many playoff games did they win, and what was their result that season?
What year?
2008 regular season.
Yeah, that was a year I really wish the Giants really would have made a Super Bowl run if it wasn't for Plaxico Burress, shooting himself in the leg. Honestly, I honestly thought they were going to make that title run that year, because Giants run a ridiculous roll. They're steamrolling guys in the end of the December season, and then all of a sudden all these guys were just there.
They were mauling teams, and they lost to the Eagles.
Yeah, they did. Yep, they lost in the old Meadowlands, where I was there, and I was so sick.
And then the Redskins. That was the last game of the old Meadowlands, I believe. And then I believe that the Cardinals made the Super Bowl after nobody saw them making it, and the Pittsburgh Steelers made it as well as a wild card team. You had the year after that, you had a Green Bay team that was a wild card team, a 10-6 and win. I think you can throw seeding out the window. I think if Seattle gets in this year as a wild card, I see them definitely being title favorites, again, because they're hitting their stride at the right time. I'm very confident. I'm a little bit confident in the Giants, because they played New England when Gronkowski was still playing, right? I know Edelman got hurt in the first quarter of that game, but the bottom line was they played New England toe-to-toe, and there wasn't any flukes in that football game. The Eagles beat New England in part because they got two special teams touchdowns and a 100-yard interception return. That's just not repeatable. That's just kind of more of a any given Sunday sort of one-time sort of historic game, where the Giants played New England, and it was relatively even on both sides. I look at Eli Manning. He's not going to have too much time left in his career to make more playoff runs. And I know that when the guy gets in the postseason, he usually plays his best football, and he somehow summons his best play. So I would take Eli in the playoffs any year, any time. And as a fan, I think that it's definitely I wouldn't welcome the Giants not making the playoffs. I think you got to make the playoffs, because you're 4 games away from your ultimate goal and being a world champion. And injuries can happen to other teams, and the Giants can also get hot at the right time, get playoff experience. There's no point in getting the 10th or 12th pick in the draft. That just doesn't make sense, and you can still fire Coughlin and do all your goals after the season, especially if they get blown out in the playoff game. I still think people will feel very consistent about the Giants. They will say your argument that they only made it in because the NFC East is weak. So I think that making the playoffs, you could still make a point to fire Coughlin because the division was so weak. So I still think that those
It's
missing out because they feel like ownership would be compelled to fire him. I think that making the playoffs, you could still do those goals and satisfy those fans' needs.
honest. I understand what you're saying, but I honestly feel it's fool's gold when people aren't in the Giants make the playoffs this year because based on what I've been seeing, through watching them, they're not going to make a run because you have guys who are playing for the first time this year. You lost your intro role last year. I think that was a huge loss for them for this year because they don't really have any backbone to go off against. You say that Eli has a narrow window. He has 3 years left. Honestly, you might as well just, forget that. And you might as well just, start looking for the future and start looking for your next Eli. Because in my honest opinion, like Eli, I feel like he might be even past his prime now because the way I've been looking at this year, it's like, he plays consistent for like, a couple quarters and then they'll take off like a couple other quarters. So he'll play like, he won't play as well. And I don't like a quarterback who plays like that because I like guys who are consistent throughout their entire career and like guys like, Roethlisberger, because they were saying on the NBC Sunday night, they were revisiting that draft. And if the Giants at number 4, honestly, this might be controversial to a lot of Giants fans, but I honestly would take Roethlisberger over Eli just because of the fact that Roethlisberger is more mobile. He's tougher than Eli. I really think that I really just like how he, carries himself on and off the field as well. But like to prove my other point, Coughlin, you might as well just forget that whole thing because, I think they're all past the prime. You really need to look for the future and, why not? Why are you going to put it off another 3 or 4 years again? Because Eli is still very erratic with his play. I don't see that changing anytime soon, unless, God forbid, someone takes lightning out of a bottle, and surprises us all again with a 3rd Super Bowl title run, which I wouldn't be against. But honestly, it's like it doesn't matter what happens you're going to go and like make all these picks, at the 9th or 10th pick. I'd rather get more talent than guys who, I'm going to admit, like we're so depleted of talent, Spence. We don't have key playmakers on offense. You have scrubs like Harris. I mean, Harris is coming to fruition, but he's okay. And then you have guys like, OBJ is great. Victor Cruz, he's not going to be the same, fire guy in that offense when he comes back because when you come back from a torn patella, that's a whole different ball game, especially the same thing happened with Jimmy Graham. And I just don't see where this firepower is coming from. Like, I really wish the tank could be able to get a guy like a Derrick Henry because he is going to be a monster in this league. I really love him. Derrick Henry from Alabama. He'll run the lights out with people, and you might as well just forget the whole thing. Obviously, what you said earlier about Seattle, right? I mean, Seattle can make a run, and you said the Giants can make a run. Well, guess what? Seattle already has guys like Richard Sherman, a Pro Bowl type, way better than DRC. Because honestly, because that's our best cornerback right now is DRC. You're not going to say Prince is. You're not going to say Rick Bride is. You're not going to say Eric Craig Dahl is. You're not going to say Trevin Wade is. Richard Sherman's Richard Sherman, and Seattle is, has those pieces to make a run because they have the personnel, they have the talent. And obviously, if you're going to keep going like the Giants route, 8-8, 9-7, 7-9, you're not going to be able to get this type of talent that's on the top of these draft boards to be able to, make a run like Seattle has already, proven they have done.
Well,
but
I want to analyze a couple of these points. Like, obviously, the Roethlisberger and Eli discussion is fascinating, and I definitely want to try to address that at some point and give my perspective and my view because I would take Eli over Roethlisberger for several reasons. And I guess I'll just say now, because Eli Manning, that first season, he didn't throw any interceptions in the playoffs. He's always been a consistent and steady force for this football team. In the offseason, he carries himself like a great individual. And he's clutch in the playoffs. I mean, he wins when the chips are down. When you need a drive, Eli will give it to you. 2 Super Bowl winning drives against Tom Brady. Ben Roethlisberger's been playing in Tom Brady's division or conference his whole life. and has only got a couple of Super Bowl rings to show. And that first year, when he won a Super Bowl, I believe in his second season, he was carried to that Super Bowl by Jerome Bettis, James Harrison, Palomalu, and that defense, where Roethlisberger didn't need to do much. So it is a close battle. I also believe that Roethlisberger's incident down in Georgia would have been made a bigger deal by the New York media than the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania media. And, just because of what happened with the Burris situation that you alluded to earlier. So that could have presented more problems. But I still think Eli's a heck of a player. He always steps up in big games. He's very calm. He has good leadership qualities. And he handles the New York media and the chaos fantastic. He's a steady rock. He doesn't miss games. And Eli just has that magic, and he really made me a Giants fan because he's really the true underdog. Everybody counted him out. They always make fun of him and compare him to his brother and how he can't live up to maybe a top 3 quarterback to ever live in Peyton Manning. And he just had all the chips set against him his whole career with that comparison. And he finally carved out a niche for himself, and that really made me a Giants fan, because of Eli. He's one of my favorite players ever. I pretty much grew up with the guy. I see what you're saying about Ben. He definitely has great qualities. He's tough. He definitely makes big plays on third downs and has arm strength. What I was gonna, ask you, Shenko, here's my question is, I looked at the Giants. They almost beat New England. And I actually feel great about the Giants coming up and playing Carolina. I think Carolina's bound to lose eventually. I think that the way the Giants played the Jets the first 3 quarters, the defense before they got gassed, the defense when they were blitzing, they were hitting Fitzpatrick. They were getting 3 and outs all the time. And I think the defense played well, in spurts. And I think that at the end of the game, you can look at coaching, blowing leads and blowing games. A lot of these are mental, and a lot of these games are toss-ups. So the Giants could be sitting here 8-5 right now, and I think you might have a totally different outlook on this football team. And with Eli Manning, like you said earlier, about him being shaky and inconsistent, the guy has no wide receivers outside of Odell, and the guy also has 0 running game to work with. So you have to put that in perspective too when analyzing his efforts. I think this has been one of his strongest years. But here's my question. I'm sorry to take a while to get there. If the Giants compete and beat Carolina, will your tone change about this season if they dethrone the undefeated champions in 2 weeks? Do you just see Carolina just routing the Giants out? Because that's what it kind of seems like you're going with.
It really just depends on how the team plays, how they come in. Like, because when I watch interviews with guys, basically, I look at Eli, he kind of looks defeated. Jason Pierre-Paul looks like, we just got to find a way to win. Well, obviously you got to keep going, and you got to keep, fighting and trying to keep, pacing this horrible NFC East. And obviously I hope to see, I really hope to see, the Giants, make a run. I'm a diehard Giants fan, but I just hope that, bringing out the same fire, I mean, it's great. I mean, let's say if the Giants do beat Carolina, I mean, that's great, but you got to keep doing that on a consistent basis. I mean, look at this year with, they played very shaky against Buffalo, and then they went up to then they played New England. They always played New England tough. They played a great game, but a couple, miscues on that. We could have won that game, but and then there's other games like the Eagles where you play like absolute crap that me and you were both at. Yeah. And so it's really disgusting to see the Giants because, it's great because, it proves my point. It's fool's gold because 1 week they're going to play great and next week they're going to stink. But also to prove your other point about, Giants don't have any wide receivers, don't have anybody to throw to. Part of that is personnel decisions by Reese. And Mr. Tisch said if the Giants do not make the playoffs this year, they were going to make big changes. And those big changes, they look at head coach, general manager, as, Reese is for, making personnel decisions. And obviously, if you bring in a guy, that can really knows like how to make better personnel decisions more consistently now. As I mean, I think Reese is past his prime of evaluating talent, and we definitely need more talent to be able to really scare NFL defenses out there. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just a shame that Victor Cruz didn't pan out this year because of his injury, but that would have been a scary offense to watch. And I just want to see more consistency coming off just Giants on a week to week basis.
Yeah.
But I just want to, and if these guys are not executing this offense very well with the players that they have right now, picked by Reese, then you have to pick new players because you can't really blame Coughlin as much as you can because with McAdoo, because he's working with those guys day in and day out. Coughlin's just looking at it overall and not really looking at it diving into it, because McAdoo is really behind all the play calls. And basically, G-Man got shut out in the second half of the Jets game, and McAdoo should really be the center of concern for them going into the next couple of years. And then also in my opinion, looking long term, I think this team still needs a new direction because Eli needs to be able to surround. They need to be able to surround himself with all these playmakers. So I do agree on what you said about surrounding Eli for because you have to, because I may disagree with that and may go a different direction, but the Giants are stuck with Eli with his contract. They're not going to get rid of it because he still has a couple years left. I really wish they would go into a different direction, but get better on defense, get better personnel wise, and make some free agent splashes, and and a hook and ladder there, and you can be a formidable opponent, definitely in the NFC looking forward.
Yeah,
Well,
I get what you're saying, but it's hard to find a guy who's battle tested as Eli is. And if the Giants do make the playoffs, I'm confident in Eli's ability to play well. And you see so many misfires on quarterbacks. You see so many Brian Hoyers, Ryan Malletts, Ryan Tannehills, Jay Cutlers. Eli Manning's like in a totally different echelon than these quarterbacks. Like, you just can't find them. You can't find quarterbacks just out there in free agency. And part of the reason why Eli and Russell Wilson were successful their first couple of seasons was it's before they got paid big money. But if the Giants go out and beat Carolina, then I'm all in, because Carolina's the best that this league has to offer. And if the team goes out and just beats them at home, then you can reasonably say this team is ready to go on and compete for a championship, because Carolina's the best team in this league, and they're going to be trying their best to win. And I don't see like going 7-9, being very depressed, missing the playoffs when the division is when you can win in this division. And in the NFL, you could turn fool's gold. You could turn an inconsistent year into something very special. You could still win a title, and our linebackers are playing well. Our D-line, under the right circumstances, are playing well. It's time to bench Andre Williams for a long time. I mean, I even like Rashad better than Andre Williams. Andre Williams I don't get why he's labeled a short yardage back. I know Andre Williams runs hard in the trenches and whatever, and I know he's a very high character guy from Boston College, but at the same time, you got to play Orland Starkville and let him be your primary back. He's by far the most talented athlete and best runner that this team has, and I can already see it in these flashes. And he's fresh at this point. This whole running back by committee with Bob McAdoo is just not working. I do want to see them get Dwayne Harris involved. I don't get why they don't try deep shots with him. Miles White's making some plays. But the point that I also wanted to reiterate here about the Giants and about the season, I actually lost track of what I wanted to say for a moment. But I do see this team competing I do see this team competing, beating Miami. And I think that they're a lot closer than people out there believe.
Yeah, I know. And if you put the Giants in a different division, like like an AFC in the AFC East, or and putting in the same division as as the Broncos right now, because those are basically your two formidable favorites in the AFC right now. And
Yeah.
if you put them in those divisions, the Giants are a wash. They're like they're not even part of the playoff conversation, and it's like. And it's like if you don't even make the playoffs, like it's like depressing. Like it's such a bad division, and you're not even gonna you're not even gonna be like a division winner. I'm embarrassed, even if the Giants actually win the division, because it's so embarrassing because the NFC East, like the talk of the town, oh, the NFC East is so bad. Like look everybody's 5-7. Everybody's got a losing record. It could come out with as a 6-10 record. Somebody can win. But the way the reputation is in the NFC East is so bad, and it's just like why be a part of that? But looking at it and the behind side of things, it's like you gotta and you gotta hope that you make a miraculous run somehow, and everybody starts taking these all these he's taking I don't know. Some people are just may be doing great with these making these runs with with the type of personnel we have, but we'll see. We'll see what happens coming on a day-to-day basis. But
the torch of the NFC East, the Giants, the way they win is they go 9-7, and they do have miraculous runs, and it's occurred before. And I mean, I'm tired.
Yeah, but
I'm tired of this NFC East talk about the NFC East being so poor. That makes me even more motivated as a Giants fan to see them get in and to see them kick Carolina's ass, and just to see them beat the NFC South's best, to see them beat the Vikings. I don't think the Vikings are very good. Green Bay just lost to Detroit as well. Giants have had a very tough schedule once again this season.
Yeah, I know. It's just one game out of a 16-game schedule, and it's just I'm going to reiterate this again. You can't just turn it on and off like the Giants do. Maybe these last 4 games they play miraculous, then this whole conversation here is null and void. Then it's a whole new ball game. As I'm watching the Giants right now, they are not fit to make a playoff run because a lot of these guys, like I said before, guys like Collins, Prince, Unga, Jasper Brinkley, Wade, McBride, Dahl. They were not even on this, Super Bowl run with 2007-11. They don't know what it's like to make a run. You're just effective saying, oh, well, it's the Giants. It's Tom Coughlin. He can mentor these guys, same way as they did in 2007 and 11. But these are different guys, and they keep making the same mistakes every single week. When's it going to be this? When's there going to be a change, Spence? When are we going to find out about the New York Giants, about they stink, and when they're going to turn on the clock and say, let's go, let's play Giants football we know and love and deserve?
I've seen bad football. This team can reasonably be 8-5. The Dallas game, the Atlanta game, when Julio Jones, just inexcusable defense. If Landon Collins simply caught a lollipop ball up in the air, and then with the Jets game, if they got one stop or one first down, I can reasonably say to you that this team could be 8-5. And that's the point. It's not that they're a bad football team. I'd argue that the Cleveland Browns are not a good football team because they just get toasted every week by opponents. The Eagles losing by 45 to the Detroit Lions and Tampa Bay. They're teams like the Ravens and Chargers that just get blown out every week. They're inferior. With the Giants, they're the same level. They're just not making clutch plays at the end of games to win. And they could be an 8-5 team. So they're not a bad football team. And in fact, this year you've seen a lot of progress. I'm very surprised that the Giants were able to, compete with New England. I was surprised when they beat Buffalo. Each week the Giants look totally different. I mean, even the first 3 quarters of the Jets game, these Giants actually looked very impressive. And, to address your point on why the Giants don't sign a lot of free agents, it's because, one, oftentimes free agents are guys that overextend their welcome in places. And the Giants pride themselves on having high character guys over talented guys. You know, you have Mark Herzlich as a perfect example, Chase Blackburn, not naturally talented guys, but the Giants, they don't want to be an organization that houses guys that can create trouble off the field. And that's why the Giants are very trustworthy in keeping guys around for 10 years and staying loyal, just like JPP, just like OC and Justin Tuck that came through the system and stayed such a long time.
Yeah, and like obviously, like you can't just. I just don't understand like the Giants. Like, wake me up when they actually want to play a game because like one week, because like obviously like I'm tired of just watching the same team over and over every week. I don't.
Well, you mean blowing it at the end?
Blowing it at the end, and you know people looking for each other for help and like doing this and that. It's like what do you guys like doing with yourselves like during the off season and during practice, and like what are you guys doing? Like you guys keep blowing it every single week. When you guys gonna like dig deep and you're gonna make a play and you're actually gonna play Giants football we all love and deserve as loyal, faithful Giants fans? I'm waiting for it, Spence. I don't see it. I'm waiting for it.
The running game could solve all those issues, and McAdoo is like a freaking let's go out in the backyard and sling it 50 times sort of college, football, Big 12, football coach out there in the middle of Texas running up tempo with Eli Manning and a Giants team. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't look like Big Blue. And that's what the most frustrating thing is. They just can't put teams away. They have no killer instinct. That's what I hope for with this team is mentally they need to get a lot better, have leadership. They need to start, finishing teams. But like I just laid out to you, this is my argument. They could be 8-5 very easily. They've had some weird bounces. And, of course, you can't blame the whole season on getting unlucky. But they do have the capability to compete at a high level. And I'd love to see this team go into the
capability. But do they actually do it, Spence? They don't. And I don't think these guys.
Well, I'm ready to see us go into the postseason.
They don't have it. They're all capable. I mean, I'm capable of going out and paying as putting on a Giants uniform and playing. But like you're all about being consistent, and they're not consistent. And if they lay an egg against the Dolphins, like I'm done. You might as well write off this season. Tank like the Sixers do, and you might as well say, forget it. It's over. Time to move on. We love you, Coughlin. We love you, Reese, for giving us 2 titles. It's time to move forward. Time to get some more talent in that backfield. Time to get some more talent at wide receivers. Time to get some more talent at linebackers, secondary, the whole 9 yards. I am ready for it.
This season's been different because they started out and they've had a successful opening part of the season where in past years they'd go like maybe 2-6 and you just would be done. And part of it, Shenko, is like the Giants are one of the most important things, in my life and probably in yours also. You want a part of it is you do want to be invested. This isn't my.
I am invested. You see this?
I know you're invested. And guess what? I do respect your opinion because it does go against like being a Giants optimist, like I am. It's a very depressing thought to give up on the team already. If they do lay an egg versus Miami, I'm with you. Then mentally they've just gone to.
They're just quit. They're done.
And they should easily beat Miami. And I'm very excited for the Carolina game. I know you're going to be tuned into that if they beat Miami. I know you're going to be excited. I know.
Yes, so. I mean, because that's what the Giants do, because they always play against, like, as the Giants are always a team, they're always, when they know they're underdogs, then they decide, they're going to get out of bed and say, well, I'm going to play good this week because we're underdogs and, we're going to prove people wrong. But once Giants are favorites, it's city for all Giants fans because – the Giants are going to, they're going to be overconfident. Say, oh, yeah, we got this scrub team. Because that's the way they play, and that's what it comes down to. Basically having the consistency to play, and they don't have it because they have a wishy-washy schedule, but now they have to prove it in these last 4 games to be able to make a run. And hopefully, deep in my heart, hopefully we see that.
I've just learned from watching football my whole life that 15-1 and 14-2, that doesn't equate to world championships. It doesn't equate to titles. The Giants in 2011 beat one of the best teams to probably ever play in the last 20 years, the Green Bay Packers, went 15 wins and 1 loss. And the Giants went out there, got 5 turnovers on that team, and the last 5 minutes of that game were just, walking on ice in celebration. That's the NFL for you. The best team doesn't win in the NFL, and that's why I love the sport, because it's a one-game scenario where you can beat a perfect team, where you can go on the road and beat the 1 seed. And that's why you just got to hope. You got to get into the tournament any year. And I still think that this Giants team, they're inconsistent, but that also means that they can be good.
All right, real quick, Spence, what's your prediction this week? Giants, Dolphins. Monday Night Football. It's under the lights. I will be studying because I still have finals, unfortunately. But I'll still be putting on, my simulcast on my computer, watching the Giants, studying my butt off in the library as usual.
You gotta
go right ahead.
You got to handle that before, the Giants go on.
I try.
I'm definitely gonna take the Giants in this one, like 31-14. I'm gonna give.
Oh my God! Don't say that.
They're gonna hang on. No, I do think that they're winning 8 straight. They're going to San Fran. They're gonna win 8 straight. Punch your ticket to the Super Bowl.
Go.
Giants.
All right, Jerry Jones of 08 or 07. Yeah, that's what they did. Jerry Jones, he punched the Cowboys tickets to the NFC Championship game in 2007. Look how that came out to be.
How about Giants Patriots 2 or 3? Giants Patriots
21-17, but
what do you? Yeah. What's your score, Shank? Let's go.
Oh God, I don't even know what to say for this team anymore. We'll see what. Since the Giants are underdogs this week, right? Are they favored? I haven't checked the line yet, but
they're probably favored.
They're probably favored, so they're probably gonna, they'll probably struggle again like they do. They'll see the same secondary. Tannehill is gonna torch them every down, just like Fitzpatrick does. Drew Brees. Every quarterback has torched us this year. We're definitely the last in pass defense. We're the worst. We have nobody to blame but ourselves, thanks to Reese, because we have no talent. So it's gonna be about like a 13-10 game and a half. Eli will probably make that dumb look that he always makes. He'll probably throw a couple interceptions here and there, and then you know what? It's gonna be one of those games that hopefully, I pray to God, Giants win the game 20-17. It's gonna be a really close game. Giants don't blow out anybody in this league. Not as anybody as I've seen. So I'm looking for a Giants close win, maybe a 20-17 victory.
Josh Brown walk off in Miami. Oh man, but,
yeah. Josh Brown will redeem himself this week after his debacle last week.
All the Giants fans that migrate to Florida, like there's so many snowbirds living down there. It's gonna be a giant. It might be like a giant.
It's like me. I will be one of them in a couple years.
They're gonna be popping champagne, man. That's gonna be like our big win of the year, according to you. But I'm telling you, man, I'm excited for this ride. The roller coaster's just beginning.
I guess so. I'm off the roller coaster, man. I have no faith anymore. I'm done.
If the Giants win the Super Bowl this year, you won't see the end of it from me. I might go back in these podcasts and just deliver a greatest of hits from you.
You know what? If
part of you has to root for that as a Giant.
If this ever happens, Giants make a run, this miraculous run. Like I'm gonna have to take you out to dinner sometime. A full course, like Capitol Grill. Probably, big, bring your date, bring your hottie with you. It don't matter.
I will.
We'll have some fun. We'll do it. We'll do it up because I owe it to you because I've torched you on this podcast because I totally disagree on your points, what you made in your previous, 20-minute video.
That's for the fans to decide, guys. Leave a comment. Who's on the right track with this debate. And the good news is that after Miami, we're going to be coming right back, and hopefully, my prediction holds true. And the Giants can get an easy win in Miami and enjoy the nice weather before going up and playing Carolina and taking them out
we'll see. Well, I mean, it's
been fun.
Game. It's really like you're gonna get hyped up for the Dolphins, and all of a sudden, we're gonna play really good because it's Carolina, and we gotta beat them, and we're not gonna rest our starters. Just like we can't rest our starters anymore because we need a division spot. Like I remember in 2007, Giants. The media was saying bench their players. They have nothing to play for. But now it's different. You need to play every single game because they need to improve their seedings for the NFC East because we'll see.
We have 2 more shout outs to get to before we turn off air.
All right, what's the shout out?
The shout out, you got to shout out Jay Cutler and the Chicago Bears, man.
Wow.
They got to do us a solid.
Why? They lost this week.
You got to shout them out. I mean, I know that Blaine Gabbert went in there, but Blaine Gabbert, he's a man possessed right now. He's resurging his career.
Even Joe Montana's giving him praise.
Blaine,
that's pretty impressive.
Blaine's got an arm. And Chicago, I mean, Robbie Gould's going to have a big week coming back this week, redeeming himself. And Jay Cutler and Alshon, the Bears, they're going to take care of Washington this week. And then the city of Buffalo is coming to our city of Philadelphia, and Bills Mafia will be parking their cars and their trucks in front of Lincoln Financial Field, and we hope that Bills Mafia has a nice, relaxing stay in Philly and goes home back to New York State with a W over the Eagles, and then we can take care of Miami on Monday. 3-step itinerary. It's a 3-step plan. So go Bills, go Bears.
Yeah, you're a miraculous pick. As a Giants fan, any type of thing out there, I want to hear from the fans out there because I'm really curious what fans think. Like, do you really want to be in this spot, relying on teams to win and not controlling your own destiny and I'd rather just control my own destiny. You win, you're in. That's it. You don't have to worry about, we got to win here, but then we need a Raiders loss, and then we need, a Buffalo Bills win, and then a Dallas loss, and a Redskin win. No, I want to win. You win, you're in. That is it. I don't have to worry about anybody else because everybody else can wet the bed, and that's it.
This is my life. This is my life, though, man. This is what I live for. I know. To watch Giants football, be a fan of them. And I can tell you what, my life wouldn't be as fulfilling without them being in the hunt this year. It's been a much better December. So anyway, Shane, great stuff today, man. And we will see you guys next week, next Tuesday or Wednesday, doing a post-game show. So
absolutely.
See ya.
Take care.